If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
Johnny Campbell back on the show. He is back in the Cage Titans cage. January 25th takes on Jeff Perez in the Battle of the Beards, the co-main event of Cage Titans 47. Johnny Cupcakes, how are you, sir?
Mike, I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. So there's got to be a story around the chains around your neck. You look like Hercules right now.
I feel like Hercules. So Jeff Perez's Instagram handle is Rico Roughnecks. And Rico in Espanol means rich. So he is the rich roughneck. And I just feel like it's fitting if I wore gold chains here. So I saw him. I figured I'd throw them on real quick just to kind of get into the mindset of what Jeff Perez thinks about on a daily basis.
All right. A lot of intensity for this card coming up from pretty much every fighter that I've talked to. Outside of Tateki Matsuda, he's just not really the promo cutting kind of guy, but everybody else seems to be on their game, and you seem to be on your game as well here.
I feel on my game. I feel on my fight game. I feel mentally on my game. So yeah, I'm just no animosity, but I just want Jeff Perez to know that I know who he is. You know, I think that he walks around thinking that nobody knows exactly who he is, and he covers it with this cool exterior. And I have respect for his fighting skills, but I'm coming to tear the man or the coward that lives inside of Jeff Perez out of him on the 25th, and I'm going to show everyone in that stadium who he really is.
Who is he really? What do you mean by that?
I think that Jeff is this roughneck guy, right? He's like this guy who wants to be portrayed as this laid-back, cool, tough guy, but I think he's really just hiding himself deep down with that facade. So I think that he is not nearly as cool as he acts. I think that he's not nearly as rough as he acts. I think that the Rico in his Instagram handle is the real Jeff, the rich boy. And then I think that he has this roughneck man exterior that he's built around himself. And I am as street as they come, you know. I might be white and I might have lived in the suburbs, but as far as like what it means to be a gangster, I get in that cage and I'm trying to kill someone. So I just don't know if he understands exactly what it's going to be like on the 25th when that door closes. And for the first time in his pro career, he's in there with someone who wants to harm him. Physically, mentally, spiritually, I want to harm this man.
So what a start to this conversation. We have a lot to discuss. We always have a lot to discuss when we get together for these chats, Johnny. But
I'm gonna take the chains off for the rest.
But let's. I want to start back in November. Cage Titans 46. You have an instant classic with Bruno Diaz. You finished the fight in the second round. It was the Cage Titans Pro Fight of the Year for 2019. That's a hell of a way to end a pretty chaotic year for you, is it not?
Definitely. I mean, I just feel like it really just capped it off beautifully. I'm gonna step outside. Hopefully the lighting's okay. Yeah, it just capped it off beautifully, you know, and it just shows what my mentality and mindset really is right now. I mean, you cannot rattle this cage right now. I am just on point. I'm getting better every second. Every moment that I'm alive, I can feel myself getting better at life and at fighting. And Bruno Diaz was just a challenge for me, and I knew I would overcome because I've overcome every other challenge. And Jeff Perez is no different. You know, he's the exact same person with just slightly varied challenges, I guess.
Where do you, I mean, you've been around this game for a while. You've got a lot of wins under your belt. Where do you rank that win in your career?
Diaz, I mean, it would be hard not to put it at the very top, I must say. I mean, he was the most decorated fighter that I believe I've ever fought, most likely the most experienced as well. And then to, you know, handle what he brought to me that night, the way that I did, you know, zero anxiety. He had me in a very deep guillotine choke, and mentally for one moment I was like, damn it, am I going to have to tap out? But like that unwavering confidence just saw me right through till the end of that fight. And I knew that I would break that man. I knew that I would. I knew eventually in a cage with me, he would break, and I feel the exact same way about Jeff Perez.
You got another big fight coming up with Jeff Perez in a couple of weeks, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the trip to London and the Cage Warriors thing, because you make the trip over there with Joe Giannetti. He was scheduled to fight Paddy Pimblett on short notice, which, by the way, when I saw that announcement, I was like, whoa, I was not prepared to see that. But, we all know what happened. Joe wasn't able to make the weight. Fight was scrapped. And then it began this sort of crazy whirlwind and back and forth on social media afterwards. I mean, the whole situation was nuts. I know that from seeing some video, you threw your name in the hat to fight Paddy as well. So I guess, without getting too deep into it and spending 25 minutes on this, because you got a fight coming up, but what was your big takeaway from that experience with Cage Warriors and that crazy week in November?
It just felt to me that weekend like we were at a Cage Titans event or something, and I just feel like no matter what the pressure is ratcheted up to, myself, my team, we're there and here to fight, and we'll do our damnedest to do so. Jojo, who was sucking himself down as much as possible to make the weight, myself and Mike Pulver were speaking behind the scenes, and in hindsight, the videos make me look like a maniac, but realistically, my intention entirely was, if they didn't fight Jojo, for me to take the fight. So, the takeaway is that we are at the top of the world if we want to be, and our team, South Shore Sport Fighting, and myself most definitely included. I believe right now I'm maybe leading the pack, in fact, for the first time in a long time. So I'm taking this fight with Jeff Perez incredibly serious because of where I believe we are as a team and me individually.
Fair enough. So let's fast forward to 2 weeks' time. I have to be honest, I was a little surprised that a fight with Jay Perrin and yourself was not put together, because seeing you guys on social media after your win, I thought for sure that, the rematch was coming. But I talked to Jay yesterday, and he goes, basically, me and Johnny are always going to be tied together. Like we're always going to have things to say about each other. He also said he's not afraid of you. He said it's more of a timing thing since you guys just fought and, he got the win. He did say, however, if you beat Jeff Perez, something he doesn't believe you'll be able to do. But if you beat Jeff, he's down to do it again. So what are your thoughts on those comments? And from your perspective, why do you feel like that fight wasn't made for this card?
I mean, it's kind of hard to say. I think personally that he just can't make weight still. I mean, I was actually approached recently to fight the gentleman that he's fighting, Silva, I believe is his name, and that fight was given to me or expressed to me at 135 pounds. So I find it hard to believe that he's the reason that the fight's not at 140. I think that Perrin can't make weight. I mean, every time he commentates one of my fights or references one of my fights, he keeps mentioning the fact that I've bulked up and that I've got bigger. And indeed, I have. After his fight, which was over a year ago now, I logged what happened during that fight, and I immediately started making adjustments to my lifestyle and to my game, and I changed who I was essentially as a fighter in a lot of ways. The transformation wasn't completed until Dan Dubuque and Johnny Lopez decisions came through, and I lost both those decisions. Then it was like, all right, well, now we fixed some things, but not everything. So I feel like now at this point I've fixed or completed, I guess you could say, my game. And I think that Jay Perrin is a little bit psyched out by that. I think that he's sicking his boy on me, so to speak, who I understand does what Jay Perrin does to people. Example, myself and Ken Moy smother them against the cage in the ground, and Jay, I guess, gets that done to him by Jeff. Jeff smothers Jay in the gym. So for sure, this is almost like a litmus test or a test that he's extending to me. Hey, show me that you can beat this type of fighter, and I'll fight you. Well, I mean, not even so much that he'll fight me, because I don't even think it's up to him. It's just that he has nowhere to go. He's coming off of a loss on the Contender Series that was him just trying to do what he does and failing to do so. So I really don't think he feels ready for me. I think when he beat me the first time, it was not a fluke, but like in the moment, he was just like, hey, this game plan is working. We're going to stick to it. And I made some mistakes in that fight as well that resulted in myself losing that fight. And I really don't know if he believes that he could recreate that evening. So I think that's the number one reason he doesn't want to fight me, is that he just simply doesn't believe that he can tackle what he's seeing me do lately.
So when he says that if you beat Jeff, he's down to fight you, you don't believe him?
I believe that he has to. I believe that he has no other option. As of right now, people are questioning who he is as a person. And if he were to watch me dismantle Jeff Perez, or when he watches me do so, he is going to know for sure I am the only fight. And really, I will be. I mean, beating Jeff Perez, I believe, puts me right at the top of the heap as far as experience, wins. That'd be 4 straight in a row. So I am the guy that he needs to go through at that point to get back to the contender. And honestly, I'll see, I'll weigh my options because I believe that I have some other options out there. And if I choose to fight him, then that's the way it'll be. But I think he has no other option after the 25th.
So you like this matchup with Jeff in terms of where you want to go? Obviously you have goals for 2020. There's places you want to be. You feel like Jeff's the right next step for you?
Perfect. Yep, absolutely. I feel like just what I've been doing to folks, Jeff is just the next perfect challenge. He's in a way he's on fire. He's 5-1. He has experience. I understand that he's incredibly strong. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. He's competent on the feet for sure. I mean, he just poses a ton of challenges for me that it's just a perfect setup for that next level leap. I mean, I've said it to a few different people. I look at that top 10 in the UFC, and I see myself in there for sure, holding my own and winning fights. So Jeff Perez should be like just a puddle that I'm stepping through on the way to the UFC. I mean, what he brings to the table, if I cannot smash that game, then I need to be back at the drawing board anyway. So this is the perfect place to be for me. And yeah, I mean, I'll go through word for word what my game plan is going to be. He can know exactly what I'm going to do, and I will still smash his bearded face.
Is his beard better than yours? I mean, it's called the Battle of the Beards. Who has the better beard here?
It varies. So I guess it more depends on how you're rating the beard, right? I think thickness level, his is thick and like fur-like almost, but mine is more coarse and like warrior-like. Like I just feel like my beard is the one that you grow when you're going into battle, and his is the one like when you're wearing like sunglasses at night kind of thing or whatever.
So in your opinion, if like Fighters Only magazine wanted a cover guy, they're putting you on there. But if Dollar Shave Club needs someone for their advertising, they're taking Bingo. Jeff. Is that accurate?
Exactly. Bingo.
All right. 2019, like we talked about, very interesting year for you. Not just for your fighting career, but things you had to go through. That whole thing with Rhode Island. Getting taken care of in your favor. You go 3-0 with 3 finishes. You won the Pro Fight of the Year for Cage Titans. How do you make 2020 even better? I mean, how does the story get better than that?
I think it's letters, right? Letters. So UFC. I think that's the only way that it gets better really from there. UFC, more W's and F's, finishes all day long. I need to keep finishing these fights. Jeff is tough, challenging, durable, and the beating that I'm going to have to lay on him in order to make him go away is incredible. And I only need one real good shot to put somebody out, but I'm willing to give him about 1,000 if I have to. So it is all about the letters. W's, finishes, F's, and UFC by the end of 2020. Hopefully halfway through we're signing either a legitimate contract or a Contender Series option. I really think that I'm built for the Contender Series. I think that I would go into that environment, thrive, impress, and I almost would rather do the Contender, really, because I just think that the experience is wild. Almost no one fights under those circumstances that these guys fight at in the Contender, and I think to do so right in front of Dana White and his boys is just a massive opportunity. So I'm looking forward to cashing in on that.
I talked to Mitch Raposo yesterday, and he said something super interesting that helped build this card even more. He said that, hey, not only is it like a showcase essentially of all of New England's best fighters, but he goes, but I feel like there's 5 or 6 guys on the card right now that are like UFC ready, and we're kind of all battling with each other, not just in the cage, but like with ourselves to see who that guy is. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I mean, in the co-main and main event alone, you have like probably close to 100 fights of experience, and then one fellow who's already been to the UFC, a couple of guys who are very close, and or a few, all four of us really. And then yeah, you look down the list, you got Mitch and several other guys in this area that are right there. And that's what Cage Titans has built. Cage Titans has built that. They're the ones putting on these massive shows, cultivating this talent, really allowing us to shine on what feels like a big stage. So, yeah, this is just Cage Titans 101. They are the ones who are putting this product together, and I think that we're all blessed to be a part of that.
Well said. Johnny Campbell taking on Jeff Perez, January 25th, co-main event, Cage Titans 47. What a way to kick off the New England MMA calendar year. I think CES the night before, but what a weekend. Lots of great action in New England. But great chat with you as always, Johnny. Before we let you go, let the folks know where they can find and follow you on the web, social media, shout-outs, anything else you want to get off your chest. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you very much. Great interview. This was awesome. Just shout outs to my team, South Shore Sport Fighting, my guys at Rugged RX doing all of my fitness and cardio and whatnot. I got guys down at the UFC gym with guys from Citadel coming over. So all those folks are really helping me out. And then I have a host of sponsors and fans who I love and appreciate so very much. Too many to even begin to go over. So I just want to say thank you so much again for this opportunity to get my face in front of people, even though they're probably sick of seeing it right now. But they better get used to it because we're just getting started.
So we like to hear, Johnny. All the best to you on January 25th. Thanks for the time as always.